So Regan, when I got out of the military, it took me, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years before I even submitted an original VA claim, right? And then when I submitted it came back and I was 90%. And I thought, whoa, I got 90%. And I was very excited about that until I was asked about, hey, well, what are your conditions? And I told what I was rated for. And someone said, you need to see a lawyer because you should appeal that. And I went, I didn't even know. And I was a lawyer. I didn't even know I could appeal my veteran's decision, right? So for me, I thought the initial decision and you're done. This is what the VA says. And then I went to a lawyer and I went from 90% to 100%. And let me just tell you, that was a huge difference in what my rating was and what my benefits were. So what is the process of appealing an initial decision?
Sure. There's a couple avenues to appeal, and it depends on what stage you're at with your VA claim. So once you have an initial decision, you can appeal it by doing a supplemental claim and adding additional evidence. So if the VA denied it because, say, there was a lack of medical diagnosis or lack of medical records, and you have those, then you can do a supplemental claim and add additional evidence to your claim, and it'll still date back to that initial filing because it was continuously pursued. Now, if all the evidence is in the record and you think the VA has arrived at the wrong conclusion, you can do what's called a higher level review. And that's where the claim is escalated to what's called a decision review officer, someone with a little more expertise at the regional office who's able to relook at everything de novo and start from scratch with the claim. And they'll either confirm and continue what the rating officer did, or they'll remand it for further adjudication, or just fix the error right then and there. If the decision review officer confirms and continues the claim or the denial, then you have the ability to appeal what's called the Board of Veterans Appeals, or the BVA. And that's when your case is going to be reviewed by a veterans law judge.
So there's an actual judge that sits on the BVA?
Correct. Yes, there's multiple judges who sit on the BVA. And so your case will be reviewed by a veterans law judge. And that's where they're able to pick out more of the legal errors that the regional office makes all the time. So you have more guarantee that the error would be corrected at the BVA than you do at the regional office.
So these judges, these veterans law judges, are they lawyers?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So I guess you got non-lawyers who are adjudicating the claim, right?
At the regional office
At the regional
level.
office. And then your first look by a judge or a lawyer is at the BVA.
Correct.
And is that like a real hearing? You walk in and you sit across from another counsel and you present evidence to this judge? How's that work?
I often choose the direct review docket the majority of the time, because if you request a hearing, it's going to add time to your case. And if you submit additional evidence at the board, it's also going to add time to the case. What I try to do is max out the record at the regional office and make sure that the entire case is in the file at the regional office. So when you go to the board, it's ready to be reviewed by a veterans law judge. And I will submit a legal memo, because it's often easier for the judge if I lay out all the arguments and the evidence in a memo rather than doing a hearing. And oftentimes they will have not even reviewed the record before the hearing. So you're arguing about the evidence in the record that they're going to view after the hearing. So it's a better strategic idea to submit the memo and then just have direct review.
Yeah, I had 18 years of active duty and 8 years in the reserves, and my veterans record was thousands of pages long. I mean, thousands of pages. Is that typical?
It is typical, especially for veterans who have been in for 20 years. You have multiple injuries during service and multiple PHAs and multiple, vaccine records and deployments and post-deployment physicals. So it's very typical to have a record that is thousands of pages long.
Okay. Well, what happens if the BVA decides against you? Do you have any recourse to?
At that point, you can appeal to the Court of Appeals for Veteran Claims, or CAVC. And you're going to go to a federal judge at that point, and you will have review by a single judge. And if that judge decides against you, you also have the ability to request a panel decision with a panel of 3 judges. So you can keep going, but CAVC usually gets it right. And at that point, we're filing a full briefing and having what's called a Rule 33 or an informal hearing with the government counsel to try to flesh out the issues before it even goes to the judge. And oftentimes, we can reach an agreement with the government counsel before the judge even hears the case. And then we would have what's a remand back to the Board of Veterans' Appeals.
Okay, so in my world where you have a trial lawyer and there's a jury there and you try a case versus you lose that case and you appeal it to like an appellate court, this sounds more like an appellate type court appeal. Is that right?
Correct. CAVC is our highest appellate court, yes, before we get to the Federal Court of Appeals.
Okay, and so it's all paper.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so you're not calling witnesses or putting on evidence at the at CAVC.
Correct. Like I said, I try to max out the record at the regional office, so by the time it gets to the board and CAVC, it's a closed record case. And at that point, it's just legal arguments based off of the record.
Well, it sounds to me like there are several stages that you can appeal if you're not satisfied with that initial decision.
Absolutely, starting at the regional office. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're looking to appeal your rating, we're the law office of Will M. Helixon. We are your warrior advocates. You defend the nation. We defend you.